Choosing the right van for you to live in is arguably the most important decision you'll make in van life. Now here at VanClan, we've toured over 100 different van builds. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna break down some of the top van build platforms to help you decide. First, we're gonna talk about the big three here in North America. That's the Mercedes Sprinter, the Ford Transit, and the Ram Promaster. And before we do that, I wanna say there's no one size fits all van or vehicle in van life. It all depends on your location, your lifestyle, where you're going, how long you're going for, that sort of thing. Now, with that being said, let's talk about arguably the most popular van in van life, the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. And what we're going to do with these top three vehicles is we're going to break down their buildability, their affordability, and their durability. So the buildability with the Sprinter, I'm going to say, is maybe not the best as the other two. That's because the actual interior of the vehicle kind of tapers in. So if you're building on the walls and stuff, it's not super straight. Now, if you're handy, that's not a problem. With the actual vehicle itself, you can get them in long wheelbase, short wheelbase, high roof, low roof. There's tons of options. Not to mention you can get it in diesel and gas as well. Now for the buildability, I'm gonna give it probably a 6 out of 10 just because it's not as good buildability interior-wise as the other vehicles. For the affordability, we're looking at 2019 options for these vehicles, and I got an average price for each vehicle, and for the 2019 Sprinter long wheelbase here in Canada, it's roughly $68,000. So its affordability isn't that great, so I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 compared to the other vehicles. For durability, Sprinter is known as one of the best. We own a 2006 Dodge Sprinter made by Mercedes-Benz, and it's a diesel, so it goes for quite a long time if you keep up the maintenance. Now, parts aren't as accessible as, say, Ford, but if you maintain it, it'll go for a long time, which is why I'm gonna give its durability an 8 out of 10.
Next up is the Ford Transit. These have been around for quite a while. You've probably seen them all over Instagram or YouTube, and there's a good reason for that. They're pretty accessible, and they've been changed up, so if things weren't working in the past, Ford's gone in and actually made them better and improved it, which makes it quite a reliable vehicle. For buildability, it's almost like the Sprinter, except has a little bit more space inside. The walls still taper at the top, making it not too easy to build in for someone who's very new to building in general. But if you know what you're doing, that's not a problem for you. So overall, for buildability, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Another reason being is there's much more space inside height-wise. David's 6'6", so he can almost stand up in the Ford Transit, but not at all in the Sprinter or the Promaster. So if you're tall, that's something you might want to consider. Maybe it's not a problem for you. For affordability in the Ford Transit, a 2019, you're looking to spend about 55,000 Canadian. Not the best, not the worst. Sprinter's obviously more expensive. So if you're looking for something dependable, it's about a 6 out of 10 for price. For durability, Ford Transits are quite up there. They're accessible. You can get parts anywhere you need them to. They come in a range of different options, including diesel, all-wheel drive. You can get long wheelbase, short, high. You've probably even seen the Ford Transit Connects, which is a very smaller version of the Transit. So there's lots of options, giving it about a 7 out of 10.
Next will probably be the most popular platform in the coming years, if it isn't already, and that's the Ram Promaster. Now, the Ram Promaster, in terms of buildability, is fantastic because on the interior, it's practically a straight cube. So you can build on the inside, no problem. The good thing about the Ram Promaster is you can get short and long wheelbase, and in some instances, you can get a really high roof. So for its buildability, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, which is pretty darn good. Next, for the affordability, it's also one of the best. The Ram Promaster is super affordable. For the 2019 spec, there's an average price here in Canada for about $44,000. That's about 20 grand less than the Sprinter, and that's pretty darn good. For the durability, it isn't, say, as good as Sprinter. Now, all vehicles have their problems, but because the Ram Promaster, with its newer engines and stuff, it's new equipment, it's new tech, so there always are problems coming up. It's hard to work in the engine bay yourself, but there's always parts available with Ram. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. All right, so now we're going to talk about other platforms that aren't the most popular ones, but are really, really good options. So let's see what we got. Oh, Schoolie.
First up, we got a Schoolie, which is actually growing in popularity as times move forward. They're quite accessible because they're usually cheap to get. The downside is price in gas. So driving across the country isn't ideal in a vehicle that's chugging a ton of gas, but if you can find a diesel option that has a better engine, you're good.
They're a little bit better. We've seen some really amazing Schoolie builds.
And it's literally a full home on wheels compared to a van where you're fitting everything into a bit of a smaller space. You've got much more room in a Schoolie.
Yeah, no, they're pretty sweet. Ooh, okay, now we've got an ambulance. Ambulance builds are kind of cool. I mean,
they're actually a full box most of the time.
Yeah, it's practically a box truck, a little bit lower slung. We have a friend who's just about to build out an ambulance, and
you can buy them on a Sprinter build. Like, there's so many different platforms to them. So if you like a specific vehicle, but you like the size that an ambulance will give you, you can seek out what type of van and ambulance you want together.
And we toured an ambulance that wasn't like a box one. It was just a regular cargo van. It was very cool, actually. It was really well done.
Another thing that people might like, if you have a lot of gear to store, but you don't necessarily want to build a garage space, ambulances have tons of little pockets on the outside that you can just like shove stuff in to have more storage.
Yep. Okay, box truck. I love box trucks.
We're a fan of the box truck camper for sure. It's like a Schoolie and a van had a baby. Yeah, no, they're really cool. They're really awesome when they have like a Sprinter chassis and cab, and then they have just like a big box in the back. I think those ones are the best. Yeah, if you're worried about spending money on gas or diesel, you can really design the van or the box truck the way that you want it to be. Look for the right engine, look for the right box, and then you've got a full home on wheels.
Yeah. Cargo vans. So these are like your regular contractor cargo vans you see. Nothing special. They're just blank white GMC Savannas maybe.
You won't be able to stand up in them, but that might not be a worry for most people, honestly. Like, I know I wouldn't be able to live in a van without standing up, but some people do not care, and that's fine.
And they're super affordable. Like, if you're just trying to get into it and see what it's like, but you want to just do it, not in your car, this is one way to go.
And most people will have no clue what you're doing inside that van.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, old Volkswagen buses.
These are the most idyllic option for most people. I mean, you probably look at a VW bus and think, I want to do that, just because it's so nostalgic, I guess. The downside being they can be quite expensive. They're not always the most dependable, but the aesthetic of the van will probably make up for that.
Yeah, no, they're really, really cool. What else do we got? Retro campers or vintage campers. These are something like what the old Ford Econoline,
Vanduras, those type of ones. Yeah. And they're quite dependable because for the most part, probably some 60-year-old man has lived in the van for a bit with his family, taken it to Florida, has worked out the kinks of the build, and you can just take that van, sometimes just repaint the cabinets to make it more what you want, and you've got, not only do you have a bed in there, most of the time there's also a guest bed, and it's been tried and tested. It knows how it works.
And honestly, the ones we see are really well maintained. Yeah. They're all really
nice. There's lots of space, and you'll probably get a decent price on them.
And our last one was drop-in campers for pickup trucks. Now, these most likely are newer. Like, there's a lot of newer type of drop-in campers, but you can get the old ones. And we have good friends who found like a little bit of an older one and retrofitted the entire inside to be brand new and beautiful.
Exactly. And you'd have no idea.
And they're a great option if you don't want to do van life full time. Like, you can just have it parked up. You can be a contractor, you can have your truck, and then on weekends you can pick it up and take it out and go. So they're honestly like a really good option.
Yeah, and you can take them off-road. Like, a lot of these vans we're talking about can probably make it to places that other cars can't, but the trucks can go almost anywhere. Yeah, which is ideal. Yeah. And sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to say that the best option for getting into van life, the best vehicle you could use is the one you have right now. So maybe, you know, in a year from now you want to be living in a van. You have a full year till then to build out the back of your SUV, go on a couple trips and really see what you need. that will help you determine what van is best for you.
And don't forget, if you want to see any of these platforms in action, we have so many van tours on the channel. You can see everything from ambulances to box trucks to sprinters and Promasters. Everything is there. Now I'd recommend you go check out our latest video, which is a super beautiful Promaster build. And honestly, it's got a really incredible interior. And it's got something hidden under the floorboards as well. So don't miss that. Till next time, see you later.